This program is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Hello and you're welcome to Business Highlights on Trust TV. Now the show has been on a short hiatus, but I can't say that we are back to your TV screens. That being said, on the show today, we will be taking you through some of the biggest business and economic developments of the week. On the show, we explore the effects of these developments on the average Nigerian lives and the reactions that come as a result of it. My name is Chamun Dabeng, and I'll be your host, and we'll be getting into our today's content right after the break. Welcome back, and our discussion today is going to be centered around the Central Bank of Nigeria. Now, just a few days ago, the Central Bank of Nigeria announced a cash withdrawal limit. Now, the CBN instructed all banks and other financial institutions to ensure that over-the-counter cash withdrawals by individuals and corporate entities do not exceed 100,000 naira and 500,000 naira, respectively, per week. Now, it was also announced that the maximum cash withdrawal per week through the ATMs should be 100,000 naira per week to the maximum of 20,000 naira cash withdrawals per day. Now, the CBN further stated that withdrawals above these limits shall attract processing fees of 5% and 10% respectively. And finally, only denominations of 200 naira and below are to be loaded into the ATMs. Now, before I introduce my guests in the studio, let's take a look at this report of the Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele shedding some more light on the matter.
Point-of-sale operators also called on government to have a rethink on the policy, adding that youths in the country are predominantly using the POS as a means of livelihood.
Well, the Senate of the Federal Republic is National Assembly. They are legislative arm of the government, and from time to time we brief them about what is happening, about our policies, and I'm aware that they have asked for some briefings, and we will brief them. But I think it's important for me to say that the cashless policy started in 2012, okay? But at almost 3 to 4 occasions, we've had to step down the policy because we felt that there is a need for us to prepare ourselves and deepen our payment system infrastructure in Nigeria. Between 2012 and now 2022, almost or about 10 years, we believe that a lot of electronic channels have been put in place that would aid people in making banking, conducting banking and financial services transactions in Nigeria.
Now, a lot of policies that have been put out there by several different governments, not just the Nigerian government. Sometimes it's a swing, sometimes it's a miss. But anyway, let's hear from our guest in the studio, and he's economist Dr. Emeka Okengu. Now, let me know what you think about the situation, swing or miss on the part of the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Well, let me take it from the position of the Central Bank governor. And he says that the cashless policy started in 2012 and that he believes that we've developed enough infrastructure to be able to support it. Now, let's interrogate it. Where is this infrastructure? Where was it developed by who? Have we improved on our energy infrastructure? Have we improved, do we now have more failures in the point of sales and the ATM machines? Have they improved in their services? Now, because if you're going cashless, remember that you're going cashless for people who are living below less than $1 a day, and there are about 153 million of them. And a lot of these POS machines, won't carry transactions that are not up to 1,500 or 2,000. So who are we serving? This is the question. So if you're saying that you're briefing the National Assembly, how come the National Assembly is taking a position against the policy if they were properly briefed or debriefed? So I think we need to be very careful. If it takes you 1,000,000 years to get the right things done, then do it. So what we should be questioning now is what is the appropriateness for now? What would be, the reasons to support, Nigeria going completely cashless. You're a woman, you're a young woman. I mean, you take your kids into a pizza shop or something, and then, one family large pizza is about 13,000 naira. You order that pizza, it's not going to be done for you or your kids until that money drops. Now, in a situation where you just have 20,000 naira in your account, you've put in your card into a machine, it takes out your 13,000 naira, it doesn't reflect on the account of a person who's serving you. Can you imagine the situation that leaves the person in? And sometimes these transactions take about 24 hours or more, even meaning for you to get into the bank to get your money back. So if the CBN governor is saying, oh, we have adequate infrastructure, and is able to point, and then you're saying you believe they have been able to develop adequate infrastructure to support this, I can tell him, being somebody who's in the streets, that infrastructure is very inadequate, very, very inadequate, and I don't think can be able to support the volume and level of this enforcement that they want to pursue.
All right, so part of the reasons that the Central Bank of Nigeria had actually put out was the reasons for this limit on cash withdrawal was to basically get in the way of any form of vote buying, control that, also control once again the money that's in circulation. You don't think that by this move this is actually going to work, or its intended intentions, should I put it that way, is actually going to function in this country?
What they should do with vote buying is establish instant mobile courts and then prosecute people. What you do with vote buying is enforcement. There are laws against vote buying. Do you understand what I'm saying? There are laws against, we have very clear laws against vote buying. What they should do is to make certain that people pay the price, for, and it's not the business of CBN to get involved in who's buying vote or who's not buying votes. It simply means that what the CBN governor is saying, if that is his excuse, is the total and complete, collapse of our law enforcement. That's not enough reason. Do I discourage vote buying? Of course, I do discourage vote buying. But again, if that is what you're talking about, the people can still transfer money to people's accounts. So what's the difference? What have you gained? If anybody who is determined to give you money, and then all the person needs to do is to correct your account number and then transfer that money to you. So all these reasons, for me, are not cogent enough. Are they probably reasons? Yes, they are, but they're far and in between. The major thing is that, trust me on this, the first thing is that this is going to be curtailing, your human rights, your rights to spend your money the way you want to spend it. And I think it's a fundamental right of every Nigerian to be able to spend their money the way they want to spend it. Which is why one of, some guy came out and said, I have billion vans coming into my compound. Are you looking for your money? It's my money. If I want to pack all my whole money and put it inside my ceiling, what business of yours is that, as long as it's not money, that I got through, untoward sources? So I think we should stop playing to the gallery. All these excuses and reasons that are given is not enough. I would have been more comfortable if we're able to show in very concrete terms. Okay, network coverage in Nigeria is about 96.5%. Power supply is about 80-something for 9%. We have gone beyond where we're managing. We are at the point where we are stable. We can give you the best of service. Okay, our POS machines have been wired to be able to operate without energy for 24 hours or 30 hours. We have lithium batteries in there. Then these are the kind of talk you can begin to present, and we begin to have this conversation. But above all, the same CBN is also talking about the unbanked. How many percentage of Nigerians have bank accounts? How many? Okay, very, very minuscule, about less than 30%. So about 65%. And then you're talking about even the 153 million people who might have bank accounts and they can't use it because there's no money there. In fact, they put in the little money they have, the bank swallows it up in charges. So what are we really talking about, really? I mean, it's neither here nor there. The truth of the matter is that this is not a good time for whatever reasons they want to present. All
right. So taking a look at the current structure of these limits, do you think that the Nigerians could actually find possible loopholes in this limit right now? Because they say where there's a will, there's always a way. Do you think this could actually work in reverse as far as removing money from circulation?
I think what we'll do is to push people into deeper depression, because in trying to find that way, you will probably be needing to cut corners, and then people can start taking advantage of you, okay? And that's not going to be good. If you're caught, you've committed a crime. people can also use that against you. So for me, it's going to be creating, okay, right, you get into a filling station, there are 100 cars waiting to buy fuel, and then are you going to be getting 100 POSs? And then the POS fails. Now you've dispensed fuel into that car, and the man can't pay you. Or he's in the line, and you can't get his money, and he's not moving. So it's just going to be a mess, really. Mm-hmm. You see, what I think we should do is to be able to look at this policy. I don't see any merit, that can impact productivity, which is what we should be striving towards. I don't see any merit, even that can even impact on the so-called security that they're talking about. Because what it simply means is that they kidnap you, your family is not able to raise what it is they want, they cut your head off and send it to your family. It's happened. So if you're saying that you want to curtail money you're giving to kids, why are you not marking the money? In those days where you used to have, marked money where you could be able to, and you're telling us that this cash is traceable. So if the cash is traceable, why are you afraid for anybody to get it? Because it simply means that you pay somebody, you can actually trace it from point A to whatever the person takes it to. I don't understand this really. For me, it doesn't, I'm trying to make it sit in my head, but the more I try, the more I get confused.
All right, so still on this issue, still on the matter anyway, there have been a few developments. Now, POS agents are threatening to go on a protest due to this new development. So let's take a look at that report.
So we now that is doing the POS is because we don't have any other thing to do. Now that we have this one to do, they want to snatch it away from us. And this bank that is giving us, maybe if I go to bank today, I will get like 400,000 or 300,000. We'll come back and sit down and manage it. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 10,000. The money will be gathering. Maybe 100, before you know it, we get up to 5,000 a day or 4,000 naira. But now with this kind of rule now, there is no way we can get even 2,000 or 1,500. So 1,500 will not buy me food, morning food and night food.
The way they want to do their thing, let them do. Let them not change our rules. Those things they are changing will affect us youth, to affect us and to make us change our mind. Otherwise, get other things done. So they should just leave the olden days rule. If they want to change the currency, let them change the currency only and leave our rules. We withdraw 20,000. That is not possible now. Like me, like this, a day I run 100,000 a day. So I'll just withdraw 20 and wait for another day. That is not good now. And it will not fasten our work.
Reactions continue to trail the CBN decision to limit cash withdrawals to 20,000 naira per day for individuals. Some Abuja residents called on government to reverse the new rules, which they attribute to the new redesignation of naira notes. They further said new rule will affect the economic activities of the country.
I actually feel it's so crazy because with the limitation of withdrawal, which is just 20,000, I think it's going to affect a lot of businesses, because you can't expect someone like, people that own businesses, like, withdraw money that is not up to 100,000 or much more than that, because some people, the moment they go out with that business, the amount of money they need in that business is much more than that which we are talking about.
To me, I feel that it's very strange. People will find it difficult to cope with that. But I just hope and pray that it will give us the ultimate benefit for what the federal government of CBN wants to achieve to ensure that the economy has a seamless flow of cash instead of stocking it in people's hands. And I believe that cash transfers are also good, much advantage of cash transfer. The disappointment there sometimes is that when you walk to ATM to transfer, sometimes they will tell you no cash. And you may be needing this money urgently to do certain things. So I also hope that they also improve on the other side of it.
The CBN, and in a letter addressed to banks and other financial institutions, announced new limits on cash withdrawals over the counter and via automated teller machines ATM, point of sales POS, and also checks.
All right, you heard it there from the people. This is your average Nigerian out there. These are POS agents. They're talking about how this is going to affect them. We also have FCT residents, also speaking about how it also affects them. But in a general sense, what is the effects this is going to actually have on SMEs in general in Nigeria?
Did you see the eyes of those young people? Because that's what I was looking at. Did you look into their eyes? Did you hear them? I mean, that's the level of despondency. And you're not talking about people who are illiterate. That first guy that spoke probably, has a university. In fact, all of them that spoke. And this is a man who says to you, out of the 400,000 I go to take from banks, I just managed to get 5,000 on a daily basis. And you're now reducing it to nothing and can't even buy me food. He's probably married. He's got kids. He's got parents. He's got responsibilities. So you see, when you're talking about impact and then the CBN is not coming out, all they're telling you is that this is long overdue and they believe at the infrastructure, they should have given us the technical audit they did on infrastructure. Okay, remember at one time in this country, some people have stood up in the Senate to say, listen, we're not even ready for electronic voting. And the agencies in charge, of this ICT programming came out to give you, the coverage of Nigeria. So you're talking about impact on SMEs. Why would impact on SMEs? And the SMEs you're talking about are SMEs that are steeped in poverty. Okay, why don't you talk about the impact on 153 million people, Chamong? That's what we are looking at here. And of course, the remaining 60-something million are not any better because they are going to be more dependent on those who they think can be able to afford this. Okay? So it's for me, I think people, the National Assembly must raise to this, whatever it is that we need to achieve. Okay? First and foremost, let us now say that the CBN has become the security coordinator of our national security. And then we know that, okay, because our security systems have failed, this is why the CBN is taking over. Because every excuse the CBN is giving is an indictment on the police, is an indictment on INEC, is an indictment on any other, oversight body that they are now saying they are failed in their duties. Okay, it is the duty of the security forces to make certain that we have free and fair elections. It is not the duty, it's not the responsibility of the CBN. So if we're talking about vote buying as a basis, of not limiting people to get 20,000 naira a day, how does that sit? How does that operationally sit? It simply means that they're indicting, clearly. They are saying that INEC has no capacity, to be able to conduct free and fair elections. Then it should be dissolved. And they will get better options.
Well, to be fair, it's just one of the reasons amongst the many that were stated.
No,
yes.
The second was security. I mean, the two major reasons were INEC and security, kidnapping. Is that not an indictment on your security agencies? When you say that CBN is now stopping people from paying kidnappers. So what do you do? The essence of a kidnap is to get ransom.
But wouldn't you say these bodies work hand in hand? Wouldn't that be the normal flow of the government?
The police should have been the one to say, oh, this policy has helped us in reducing this, They should have been the one also, advocating for this to sink in. But I'm saying to you as me, as somebody who is in the streets of Nigeria, we are going through one of the worst times we could have ever imagined. And part of what it is we are suffering today are the mistakes of the CBN. In the first place, the monies that got out of the banking system, with a lot of respect to, the good works I've tried to do, came through the CBN.
All right, now, so speaking, still taking a look at this issue now there's the issue of, should I say, digitizing Nigeria, basically, especially when it comes to our cash. We're trying to move towards a more cashless society. Of course, there are so many benefits to that. There are so many countries who have adopted that sort of system where they have a cashless society. Now, if we actually say we want to go back or refuse this type of policy, isn't this us once again working, or let me not say once again, isn't this us working against ourselves?
These things can be faced. First and foremost, there's education. There's an education component to this. Everybody needs to know how to operate this in their language. It doesn't have to be English. There has to be a lot of advocacy. There has to be a lot of sensitization. This could take 3, 4 years, 5 years, 2 years, and then you make certain. That's one. Then the second one is that the infrastructure has to be faultless. It has to be fully functional. I can't remember you traveling abroad, Chamong, and putting a card in any machine and it fails. Think about it. And you've been traveling. Think about any time you got into any shop to buy anything in Ghana and it failed. And let me tell you why it's not failing. Because they have the adequate blockchain technology to support what it is they're doing. Do we have it here? I'm not trying to say that this is not a good policy. I'm trying to say, for you to have a policy, there has to be 2 other things attached to it. You must have the programs and you must have the actions. Now, the actions is where you have these support services Do we have them? If we have them, are they adequate?
All right, so the deadline for this policy is slated for January 9th, 2023. Now, what tweaks do you feel that the CBN has to make in order to, bring this to fruition? Because they said, okay, the deadline is not going to change, but there is space for some tweaks.
They can't say the deadline will not change, except, the CBN doesn't own Nigeria. They are paid with taxpayers' money. I understand that the National Assembly has summoned them. And let's see how it goes. If they're able to convince the National Assembly, who are supposed to be, our representatives, and they say it's a good idea, then we'll go with it. But for them to come out and say nothing can change it, how does that sit? The CBN is a public-owned organization. Every one of us has a stake in there. Okay, so we have a right to say, to be able to question, like I'm questioning now. I don't mind. Please, let me make this very clear. Beautiful policy. I support us going digital. Okay, I love it. I love where you can be able to now, it makes you, everybody is safer, because anybody who attacks you, the worst the person can do is to take your card. Okay, what the person can do is to take to your limit, and then you can be able to block the card. Beautiful. However, it is the functionality based on, the demand infrastructure that is the issue. Okay, the places where these things work, they don't use generators. The places where these things work, they have all manners and all support systems, power. The places these things work, most of them are moving from the brown to the green to the blue economy. Mm-hmm. The places this thing work, everybody is sensitized in whatever language, okay, that the person is able to understand. Now, do you know the literacy level of Nigeria? You want to check that out? It's alarming. So if you have people who don't understand this, and what you guys can do is probably try to do a vox post. Even see how people are able to use their ATMs. I see sometimes I go to ATM spots, and you see people who don't even, they write their numbers out for them and then get somebody to start punching it in.
All right, Dr. Okengo, unfortunately, we do not have enough time to continue the discussion. Now, taking a look at the policy, it is a good policy. We should be working towards a cashless society. We should be working towards a digitized society, but maybe there's room for improvement for this policy. All right, so we've come to the end of our show for today, and I would like to thank my guests in the studio. Thank you so much, Dr. Okengo, for being a part of the show, and thank you so much to our listeners out there. Please, if you missed most of the show, you can definitely go to our social media handles. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. All you need to do is look up Trust TV News, and you'll find us there. Well, once again, my name is Chamun Dabeng. Come back again next week. Let's talk numbers.
This program is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.